and it's a severe problem. So I do hope you all can join soon. Obviously, we need that. I mean, it's lasted a lot longer than it did last time round. Like, a lot longer. Spectate. Alrighty, we are back in. So, let's go with tyres for now. Just keep on board with the tyre situation. So, in comes Pole. So, it'll be interesting to see what he chooses tyre-wise. Either way, our Henson is also out now. Mr. Cookie is still front of the running. I'm interested into seeing sort of the time difference between Mr. Cookie and our Henson. So, obviously our Henson has got the fresh tyres. They're only 1 lap old in comparison to Mr. Cookie's 5 lap olds. However, Mr. Cookie has got a softer, faster compound which wears quicker. Our Henson has got a harder, firmer compound which wears slower, but is also slower. And our Henson is confidently catching at the moment. This could have been a bad mistake right now for Mr. Cookie, and it is looking that way. As, I mean, our Henson is catching half a second this lap already. Half the lap, half a second. It's going to be a lap a second at the moment at this rate. If he keeps this pace up, he's going to be absolutely dropping time. Mr. Cookie might have made a bad mistake here, and I think he might just be realising it now, but he's got to keep on driving on these inters. Doesn't have all that much of a choice on to make another pit stop at any time soon. Arman plays into the pits as well, so it'll be interesting to see what he comes out on. Yeah, we were talking about Pole. He's done the intermediate strat as well. So now beginning to overtake Arman plays. What's he going to come in for? He's coming in for a set of intermediates as well. Oh, it's a set of intermediates that is now causing, which is now more common. Arman plays obviously going on to that fresh set. Our Henson though does set the fastest lap on wets. Lifeboat then sets the next fastest lap on wets. Is it going to be a fast lap on inters at any point? No, it's not. You've still got no fast laps on inters. And that's Mr. Cookie just in front now. Our Henson getting increasingly closer. Currently, as it stands, McLaren are running 1-2. However, neither of them have pit yet. So that doesn't really matter all that much. And obviously, Blake is still in this race fight at the moment. But whether that time is going to decrease, I'm not too sure yet, you know. Because obviously Mr. Cookie is catching to Chaz Knight Rider at a rate of knots as well. Rate of knots. And it is now, it's all down to the weather as to whose strategy is going to work. Because Armour Plays has just lost the position to J-Horse. And he's about to lose another place to Smithy. Can he hold on? No, he can't. He doesn't have the grip. Smithy does run very wide though. Blake picking up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's going to be the last thing he wanted whilst coming into the pits. Mr. Cookie, though, is now beginning to increase that time again. Our Henson is struggling a little bit to keep pace with the intermediate tyres of the Alfa Romeo driver. Blake switching to intermediates as well. So all of a sudden, the intermediates look so much stronger when they didn't just, I don't know, 2-3 laps ago. It is all of a sudden changing rapidly. And where is Blake going to come out? He's going to come out well behind Mr. Cookie R. Henson. In fact, miles behind. He might even come out after Hazard. I think he is, you know. Oh, he's just about going to manage to keep in front of Hazard. That's really close, as Hazard has to go right to the outside. He's just trying to keep the race in line. Blake went into a more defensive position there just to make sure that he made it. But our Henson once again catching Mr. Cookie. It's really confusing between these two at the moment. I'm trying to use them to judge. Hazard has managed to get past Blake though. However, Blake is on fresh tyres. and you'd think that that'd be a cause to be quicker. It's actually a cause to be slower because they're not warmed up yet, and so it could just be a case of cold tyre syndrome. It could be a case of the wets are faster. What is faster? Is it the wets or is it the intermediates? So far, number of tyres on the track says intermediates is faster, but are they? This is really difficult to judge at the moment. Now Henson and Mr. Cookie just keep fluctuating between times, and it's really difficult to sort of decide who is the fastest driver at the moment of the two, because they are driving, I think, very much with each one of them has their own like solid sector, and then there's that one sector in the middle. Nevertheless, quiet on track at the moment. We have got very, very little in the way of fights. I think this is the closest battle on the grid at the moment, to be honest. What you've got to keep in mind, right, is for the win at the moment, Chaz Knight Rider needs to come in. He's got to come in at some point. That's a fact. He has to pit at least once. So Mr. Cookie will be promoted to first. However, Mr. Cookie has a 3-second time penalty, whereas our Henson has nothing. So this could be another case for Mr. Cookie that penalties loses him a race. If he doesn't get out of that 3-second delta time, that could be the difference between him winning the race and him coming second like he did sort of last week. Unfortunately for him, I don't know whether he's sort of getting flashbacks at the moment, but it is still just lap 18 of 26. We have still got quite a few laps to go. We've got 8 laps remaining of this race. And coming up to, yep, we're now lap 19, which technically means we still have 6 laps of racing to go. Because you've got to remember, it's 5 laps to lap 26, and then you've got to do all of lap 26 as well. So it's actually sort of really 6 laps, because you finish technically when you cross the line for lap 27. So big fluctuation between a lot of times at the moment, but people quite widened out, and that is Lifebout out of the Grand Prix. What has happened to Lifebout? Let's pull up a track map and see whereabouts it's happened. By the looks of it, it's in the pit lane. Okay, so Lifebout has retired into the pit lane, and so has Pole. Pole has also retired into the pit lane. So that is 2 drivers out. That is Pole and Lifebout out. How so? What has caused these two to decide to DNF? I don't know, but they've just both come into the pit lane and immediately called a retirement, which leaves us just 14 drivers remaining. As Severe Scott manages to get past Neverfear Randy's hit. Pretty easy, considering the fact that he is in the pits. Can't say that was particularly the most challenging overtake of the weekend. Certainly not. There we go. Still the 2 closest together. In fact, I don't think it is anymore. I think J-Horse versus Aeroblake might be the better and closer battle to watch here. Though I'm very, very intrigued as to what is going to happen at the end of this race here. Our Henson is now getting closer and closer to that 3-second gap where he will then secure second place once Chaz Knight Rider decides to finally come into the pit lane. I mean, that guy is going to try and do an Alex Albon at this rate and stay up until the very, very last lap and just fit a set of inters and go for it. But, I mean, right now, Mr. Cookie is currently in a net first position Only just by a tenth of a second, he's a net first. You know, 0.8 of a second net first right now. It's close, right? I mean, he's not comfortably first, but he is first, and he is catching Mr. Cookie is catching Chaz Knight Rider at a rate of knots. Like, it's now 1.1 seconds. Those wets are destroyed of Chaz Knight Rider. I mean, Mr. Cookie's right there for grinding out low. Thing is, though, the real question is Chaz Knight Rider going to make this difficult for Mr. Cookie, or is he going to make it easy? Either way, it's going to be a move up into Stowe, or at least it should be, because, I mean, Mr. Cookie's right there. He's not going to have a little look up in the inside. He's going to stay behind, probably try and get it done in Vale, or perhaps Club. He is going to get the much better exit. Only thing is, though, is that's completely blocked Chaz Knight Rider from coming into the pit lane, that corner. So he's going to have to go around for another lap, whether he likes it or not. I don't know whether he was planning on doing so anyway. Obviously, that's lost him a little bit of time, about half a second to our Henson. 6 tenths now. However, our Henson still does need to get past Chaz Knight Rider. In fact, actually, it's gaining him time. He's now further away than he has been for a very long period of time. 3.7 seconds between our Henson and and Mr. Cookie. It's the most comfortable he has been all race, and yet it is still so uncomfortable. It's 0.6 of a second currently. Mr. Cookie is winning. This will be for his first ever win as well, and this has happened numerous times, and he's praying right now. I know that he's praying right now. That's the thing, I know he's praying. Oh, terribly sorry. So, J-Horse still trying to catch this Aeroblake. However, Aeroblake has a penalty. He has a... That's not the right one, is it? Penalty. 8 seconds. Got 8 seconds of penalties. Where on earth has Aeroblake got 8 seconds of penalties? Either way, our Henson is right on the back of Chaz Knight Rider, who is everywhere. And our Henson does get past. He's now 4.7 seconds behind Mr. Cookie. So he's got to do 1.8 seconds in the last 4 laps of this race. Well, last 5 laps of this race. It's now a 5-lap race sprint out. The Williams is going to have to claw time to get to Mr. Cookie. He is going to have to really push for the rest of this race and try not to pick up a penalty. Mr. Cookie has got to try and keep that delta or improve it. And not pick up another penalty. If Mr. Cookie picks up another penalty, it's going to be really difficult for him to win this race. Our Henson, though, all our Henson can do now is push in the clean and open air on these wet tyres. Chaz Knight Rider still out on track, and I think at this point his tyres must be absolutely destroyed, as he's running offline as well. He knows he's slow. And you just question to yourself, why on earth is he still out there with those tyres, as he's just ice skating at this point. Chaz Knight Rider losing so many positions. He could be doing so much better had he not have pit just a couple of laps ago. And you can see just how horrible it is to try and get round that corner. He's trying so desperately to keep pace, and it's just not working out for him. And he's really, my God, he's trying to get the grip down so hard. And oh, that's a big collision with the AlphaTauri, and all that is going to go to the stewards. That's going to go to the stewards with Armand Plays, who I think now probably definitely has wing damage. Yeah, he does on his left end plate. Well, the fact is he doesn't have one. Our Henson is slowing. It's now 5.2 seconds, which with penalties is 2.1 seconds now in front Mr. Cookie. All he has to do is keep it on the track for 4 more laps. He has to do every single corner 4 more times, and he'll be 2.2 seconds in front. Our Henson needs to claw some time down, but it's just not happening at the moment. It's the opposite. He's losing time, and the disappointment and frustration will be beginning to kick in for our Henson as he so desperately tries to catch up. J-Horse, on the other hand, still just comfortably behind Aeroblake. He knows that he doesn't have to get past. He knows that Aeroblake has got 8 seconds of time penalties and he's going to inherit P4. He knows that it's then another 2 seconds to P3 to Hazard. He knows the only way that he's really going to get a podium right now is if he gets past Aeroblake and Hazard picks up a penalty and he closes in 1.7 seconds. That is the only way it's going to happen. Henson did claw back some time there. However, it was because he was 5.8 seconds back and he went down to 5.2 and now it's 5.5 again. Just losing so much time. It's so unfortunate to see our Henson is just beginning to fall off here as it's becoming evidently clear lap after lap after lap that the intermediate tyres are just so much stronger at the moment. They're absolutely flying, really, in all honesty. The nerves will be beginning to build for this man here. The black and purple helmet of the Alfa Romeo driver currently sits in the lead. 2.7 seconds at the moment. Oh god, that was horrible. I'm so full of cold still. I've had this cold for like since Friday and it is just not going away and it's horrible. And it makes me sound like a toddler. J-Horse is still just comfortably sitting behind Aeroblake. Unsurprisingly, he has no need to get past. Let's be honest here, unless he stuffs it up and stuffs it up big time and loses 8 seconds, he's got P4. He knows that that's the theoretical best position he's going to get. So he doesn't have to worry about it. He's not going to catch Hazard, and he knows that. He knows that Hazard is like well and truly, he's in the clear, you know, so he's not even going to bother trying. Which I don't blame him for. Like, I wouldn't either. It is becoming now more and more unlikely for this man to pick up the win. And it is disappointing for him. He has driven such a good race and he went with what looked at the time to be the most likely strategy. But it just hasn't quite paid off for the Williams. The number 39 driver. And there's a yellow flag in sector 2 and 4. That is, I believe, Severe Scott. Parked on the side of the road. He is going once again. Just keeping off to the side just to avoid any collisions. Mr. Cookie now it's 6.4 seconds. The man has got so much pace and he rounds into the second to last lap. He's got 2 more laps to hold on. And it's safe to say he's not going to have to push the pace too hard if he wants to win this race. All he's got to do is keep it moving. Keep that car on the road, nicely gripped, and just keep it moving. It sounds easy. It does sound easy in comparison to fighting for a win, but you know what? This is beyond more tense than having to push. Because if you have to push, at least you're having to... at least you have a goal. You know, of course you have a goal in this, but it's really, really nervous in his position. It is an absolutely horrible position to be in. I remember last time I raced in BRL Wednesday, it was in the F2 Championship we did last year, just as like a one-off for us, like it was a week break, so we decided to do an F2 Championship, and I went from 4th to 1st in the final lap, and that was so scary. Going into the final corner, overtaking 2 people on the final corner, it was so scary. And that final corner, hitting the brakes, I just thought I was going to lock up. I thought I was going to go flying. Thank God I didn't, but that is exactly what he's going to be feeling at the moment. He did go and set the fastest sector 2 times, so it's clearly not getting him to him too much, and he's clearly keeping his foot down. He might be listening to me and just trying to prove me wrong, which, I mean, I don't blame him. Just prove me wrong. Please do. That's what I want you to do, Mr. Cookie. Because right now, he's 7.4 seconds in front of our Henson, the closest rival on the grid. Hazard has now got quite a clear gap to Aero Blake, who is still very much in the mud. J-Horse still just 1.3 seconds behind. Zaviscott has rejoined the chat. Let's look towards the back of the grid, shall we? And more importantly, take a little look on penalties. So Smithy at the moment is looking to drop a position, so Rick will gain one up to P6 if all stays the same. Owen plays in P8 at the moment, and this is where it starts to get difficult to figure out who is where, because it is very, very close. So Will Wobble is still behind SX Perry on track and in penalties. He's actually 3 seconds back from SX Perry, even though he's right there. Jimmy Jags has got 20 seconds of time penalties, just going to push him behind Chas Knight Rider, but don't worry, no fear, Andy's here is further enough back. Plus, with 16 seconds of time penalties, he is quite clearly staying in 13th, only because Severe Scott is another 54 seconds behind that. So all in all, penalties, whilst there's a lot of them, it's not actually making that much of a difference to a lot of positions. And I think it's time that we do the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, it has taken a lot of races. I don't know how many in particular, but on a wet Silverstone in Great Britain, the land in which he calls his own, his very own home race, he comes across the final corner. Mr. Cookie wins. He's done it. We like to say it's lights out and the cookie crumbles, but he did not crumble today. The Alfa Romeo brings it home to win in Great Britain. And it's a very well deserved second place for Henson as well, who runs directly behind him at the very end. And Hazard, with such a low-lying but incredibly good performance from him, he has been so quietly in that third place position and has done so very well. J-Horse on his week back, it's not quite where he hoped for. Maybe he would have probably been aiming for a podium, but I don't think you can complain about P4. And Aero Blake comes in P5. He'll be very happy with that, and we'll run through the rest of the order right at the very end. But there is only one man that we're here to have a chat about, and let's be honest here, he's done it. He has done it. Mr. Cookie wins in Silverstone. And so, once again, the Formula 1 Lenovo British Grand Prix 2022 has been won by the man who has now had to change his name on Discord to Mr. Cookie, aka Can Win, instead of Mr. Cookie, aka Can't Win. So that is absolutely lovely, and I'm going to be quiet for this, for him to be able to enjoy his lovely little race podium. It is a nice and, I guess, diverse podium in teams. However, not so diverse in countries. I'm pretty sure it's either 1 or 2 victory countries. But congratulations to the drivers. So it was Mr. Cookie who won, even with the time penalty. He did to come across to win this race, and our Henson came in P2. Hazard, the Norwegian, P3. I'm pretty sure that is Norway, isn't it? It is Norway. I really hope that's Norway. Although I played GeoGuessr and I still don't know if that's right. J-Horse in P4 and Aero Blake P5. Rick came in P6 and Smithy P7. Armour Plays P8. SX Perry P9 and Wibble Wobble in P10. Chas Knight Rider P11 and Jimmy Jags P12. Never fear, Andy's here. Severe Scott and Pole in P12, 13, 14, 15. Lifebout P16. Calf Jack 17. Scotty 18. Quick Killers 19 and Blair in P20 with, I'm pretty sure, up to pole was all DNF'd. And so on that note, let's bring in our podium positions. I think there's going to be one man that's going to want to have a chat. Create a new group. We want Mr. Let's have a little look. Mr. Cookie, our Henson, and Hazard. Right, bring them in. And now we wait. Taken an awfully long time. I thought someone would have been in here quite quickly, but apparently not. Oh, speak of the devil, here he is. Hello.
I did not think I'd be here.
So, let's yeah, right. First of all, you've been with BRL Wednesday since the start, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it was late December 2021. I think that's when I first joined.
Yeah. So that is pretty much the start of BRL, isn't it? And it has taken you until September 2022 to pick up your first very win. Was this the race you were expecting to do it in?
I don't know, because I was looking at practice. I set up a practice lobby before this, and I was thinking, I'm going to do quite well, I think, but never thinking I'd win by that much. Like, even 5 seconds, that's still a lot. And I was looking at the practice session, seeing I was ahead of a load of people by quite some distance, and I was thinking, okay, if this is in the dry, I'm going to have a really good race. And then, I think in qualifying, all the weather systems, they basically all just bugged out for me. So it was saying it wasn't raining already 45 minutes in. So, I've got nothing much else to say at the moment.
I mean, okay, let's start from the very start. Qualifying went very well. Were you expecting to be able to throw a lap in like that?
Well, not at first. I think I was still probably going to be up there, but not pole. Once again, I wasn't thinking that. But then, as soon as I saw the Discord, I saw a load of people put on wet setups, and I was so confused by it. Because, once again, my thing said dry for basically the whole race. So I had absolutely no clue. And, I felt like after that, I was just thinking, I think I've got pole.
Yeah.
It was just quite simple, quite easy. And I think my only challenger really was the other people who put on dry setups, which conveniently are the top three. So I don't know what miracles happened, but they have.
Yeah. And so we got underway, we got racing, and it was an early pit stop from you. Can you explain why you decided to go for that early pit stop?
I think you might have caught onto it. I'm not sure. I didn't actually watch the stream, but you might have been able to tell that. I think especially top three, that I was pulling away at the start of the race, and then I kind of fell back again. Yeah. And then the same thing happened after the safety car. Like, in reality, my wet tyres, they were actually starting to overheat. So I was really struggling trying to turn the car. It felt really weird trying to do it. So I was also then just constantly checking weather forecast because at the time it said Interzal wets are the fastest tyre.
Hmm.
So what I did, I just tried to gamble because I knew our Henson and Era Blake, they were right behind me at the time, and
Yeah.
my wets were, they were basically burning up. So I decided to go on the Inters, and I think it paid off.
I'm pretty sure it did, you know. And
Yeah,
okay, so you go back to the back of the field. It was a great come through for the field from you, may I say. It pretty much cut through most people. Obviously, there was that massive sort of round of pit stops.
yeah,
And then towards the end, I mean, so I'm saying towards the end, I'm talking like 8, 9 laps before the end. Both you and
yeah.
our Henson, you were still a net P2 at that point. Were you still a little bit like, oh, I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to win this or not? Do you think that our Henson was going to go for you, or did you think, you know what, no, I think I'm going to have the pace in the long run?
Um, I didn't really think about much then, to be honest with you. I was panicking slightly because that penalty reminds me of very bad times from 1 week ago now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I
um,
I may or may not have mentioned that.
yeah, a few times,
Yeah,
maybe.
a couple.
But yeah, I just tried doing what I could do best. I wasn't really thinking about much at the time. All I was really thinking about at that time was trying to catch Chaz
Yeah,
because he was still on the very old wets. And I think he actually got a puncture just
I think
after we crossed the
how
pits.
slow he was going, he must have been having a puncture.
Yeah, because I know that new tyres make a difference, but I don't think they make 2.5 seconds difference. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
could be a really good driver,
I mean, they
but
were
you
they
could
were
never.
like they were like
Yeah,
20 laps old, 20 lap old wets. He hadn't pit yet.
yeah. So I'm just, yeah. I don't. My nerves in the last few laps, yeah, they were quite high
Yeah, that was
because I
something else I was
was.
going to mention. I know, like you were comfortably in front, but we like obviously it's a wet track as well. It makes it even worse. How nervous were you that you were going to bin it?
Um, I mean, I already did a load of laps when it still said into some wets for very similar pace, so I
Mm,
wasn't too worried, but I always just wanted to just make sure that I just kind of kept on the track. Um,
yeah.
but in the second last lap, I decided to try and go for fastest lap. I was only a tenth off in the end, so very close, but
Yeah,
I
not
feel
too
like
bad.
if I
I did
pushed a bit
see.
more.
I saw you went purple sector 2, and I was like, "Oh, but he can't be that nervous then, because he's pushing the car to his absolute max. He's gone purple sector 2. He must have. He must not have a care in the world if he bins it or not.
Yeah, so
Maybe
but
not. Not quite so
I
the
don't know.
case.
So I really don't have much else to say.
Other than that,
Cool.
well, you know what? It's your first ever win, and let's hear your 3 race word roundup for it.
I only need one relief, to be honest. That's it.
Relief, just
That
pure relief.
because that has been 9 months, nearly 10.
Mm.
So
With
yeah,
lots of very very close races. For some reason, my mind goes to Singapore last season. That
yeah.
was that was a bit of a heartbreak as well, and
I think
obviously last week.
yeah. Last week I think hurt the most because in the other races, I think the ones I can list off the top of my head are Monza last year, Brazil last year, and Singapore last year. Like you said,
Yeah,
those were all my mistakes. Like Brazil, especially. Like I was doing really well, and then by the end of it, had 6 seconds of penalties. So
yeah.
that sucked. Bonds where I was catching the car ahead, went off into the gravel, also quite
Hmm.
sucked. Yeah, and I think Canada, yeah, that was the hardest one to swallow. But I think I've, yeah, I still don't have words. I've said it multiple times. I just don't have any.
Mm. Hey,
This is probably not the best thing, but
you know what? It is. It's understandable. You've heard. It's been a long, long time coming, and now that it's happened, do you think you're going to get a couple more this season? Do you reckon you could possibly go for another win this season?
I think so. I don't know what it is, but it just felt like I've just had like a switch at the moment. I don't know what it is since probably since Canada or maybe a race before that. It's just clicked. Like it felt like it was coming, like really soon. I just knew I
Mm.
was going to get a first win just soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm just quite happy, and I think a few people are asking you in the chat about pizza again. So,
Oh yeah, pizza.
oh god,
Yeah.
you got a
So.
few, haven't you?
Oh my God. Yeah. There's a lot of people. Wow. Right.
Well,
So here we go. I mean, you already know the question. You don't even need me to ask it.
yeah.
But Mr. Cookie, why do you have pizza on your head?
Um, it's for celebrating tonight. It's for everyone. Everybody gets a pizza. Like same guy was speaking about drinks. I'm underage, thank you. I don't want any.
No. Yeah. Of course.
So just went, why not have some pizza instead?
Let's go for it.
Oh, I think that question's also been a long time coming, not just the win.
Yeah. And obviously you've got a name change on Discord as well.
Oh, that was me.
Was that you that's gone for
That
it?
was all me. That one.
You know what? Congratulations on your win, and is very, very impressive indeed. He has gone somewhere or another. Oh,
Yeah,
here
I'm
he is.
just.
He is still here. All
I'm still
right,
here.
yeah.
Good work.
Congratulations on your win. You're more than welcome to stay around if you want to.
I
And
will.
I'll see you next week.
Hopefully.
Yeah, probably. Alrighty, that was a long one. Let's move on to P2. Mr. R. Henson, how are you feeling with the P2?
Yeah, I'm very happy to be honest. Probably could have got first, but for some reason Mystic Cookie was just so fast on the meters when other people were
Hmm.
pretty straight.
So yeah, let's start with qualifying. It was nothing short of solid. I mean, it went pretty much. It went as nearly as perfect as possible. Obviously, not pole position, but very, very high up, and it set you on for a decent race.
Yeah, when Mystic Cookie did the practice one, I was one of the lower down people compared to everyone else. I was quite surprised when I got pole. No, not pole, second.
Yeah,
But then I realised everyone was on wet setups because Cody's messed up again. All our weather reports were wrong. It rained from the start to the end, but on our weather reports in quali it said it was going to rain 45 minutes in.
oh,
So we were very confused.
that's not ideal, is it? It- so yeah, so obviously all you guys, you were all the ones that decided to go for the dry setups. How on earth have we managed to pull off getting? Oh, it's all going wrong. Um, I hope you can hear me. How on earth have we managed to keep the pace to come second? Yeah, yeah, and sort of okay. So you decided to go onto the wets for the very end. Were you? How confident were you that they were the right tyre of choice? Were you sort of the same as Mr. Cookie that they were saying 50-50?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well that's understandable, isn't it? So, I mean, after... Oh, that's probably why. My controller mic the whole time. What? That's probably why it sounded so terrible. I'm so sorry for that. So right at the very end there, you were keeping pace for Mr. Cookie, and then it all went a little bit wrong. What happens?
Yeah, for about less than no idea what happened. The aeroplane started very I felt slower than
I'm gonna be quite honest. I don't even know either. I don't know what it was. I just clicked. But this is your interview. I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be here. I don't even know either. Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, sorry, I was just listening. You are extremely quiet on the what's it? Oh my god, why can't I think of it? Mm. Could you not? It might.
I stream my own races and you can hear me on that.
Oh,
You can probably hear me now
have you
on
found?
stream.
Oh, have you? Is there? Have you not had that activated? That's probably why.
Yeah. It's weird because you could hear me on my stream, but
Oh
yeah, you
yes,
can hear me
it's
now.
loud as anything. Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, they might have been able to hear the murmur through my microphone. I've got no idea. But other than that, I mean, are we happy with P2? Do you think you could have gone for the win had you have changed something, or do you think P2 was sort of the best you were going to get?
No, I could have got the win, but the pace at the end for Mr. Cookie just made him win instead.
And so should we round that up with your three-word race roundup?
I'm gonna wet,
Mhm.
wet and wet.
Wet, wet, wet. I think that is
Three very interesting words.
yeah, three very different, very original words. I think that really summarises this race, even when everyone thought it was going to be a bit dry. Oh my, we've got a Jimmy Jags.
Jimmy, say something.
Oh, here he is.
He's here. Oh, we might have to give you a second message because we've got the absolute GOAT. Jimmy, how was your race? Oh, what happens? Oh,
Well, I mean, the game thought you did pretty well. You got driver of the day on that.
I
Well,
mean,
no, really. I think you lagged out at one stage. You came back, then had a crash, and you've still moved up 7 positions from where you were. That's pretty good.
I mean,
I feel like you have improved.
it's a solid 11th place for you. Okay, 20 seconds of penalties, but we'll ignore that. And obviously, well, where did you start? Was it P19 that you were when you started? So, unsurprisingly, it's 8 places gained. It's pretty decent going. Nevertheless, oh, go on. Let's have a three-word race roundup for you. Well, you can tell that you're new here. You haven't got your 3 words lined up.
We still have one more man to.
We do indeed. We have third place. I would say a bit of a mystery man. He kind of just snuck up into third. It's Hazard. How do you feel about your podium?
Yeah, I'm just really happy. I think it's been a long time coming. I've probably came fourth about 10 times now, but just glad to finally get on the podium.
And So let's take a little look. I can't actually remember. Whereabouts did you qualify?
8th, I think, but then I dropped down
Eighth.
to about 11th by turn 1.
Oh wow! So it was a bit of a recovery drive for you then.
Yeah, I would say it was more, everyone went spinning off in front of me more so than I did anything too amazing, but, you don't care how they come, it's still a podium.
And I mean, right at the very end there, it was a little bit boring for you. Were you particularly sort of worrying about anything right at the very end? Because I mean, you were all alone.
I mean, I had J-Horse 3 seconds behind me, which is never ideal, but
Hmm.
somehow I managed to find a bit of pace and actually gained away from him, so by the end I was just coasting.
And you were also one of the people that elected for the wets as your second tyre, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
What made you go for that decision over the intermediates?
It was more just, I didn't want to really take a gamble and mess up my first real chance for a podium, so I just followed everyone else and it paid off a bit.
I mean, that is the most important thing to do. And I mean, overall, was this a race that you were expecting to be able to perform in so well?
No, I think I turned on my PlayStation at about 9:50, or 7:50, and I just had to grab whatever setup I could. Hopped in, came 8th in quali. I really wasn't expecting much, but yeah, everything just seemed to fall into place.
I mean, they are some of the nicest races overall. Were you walking into this race, obviously with it being a fully wet race, were you expecting to be able to achieve in this race, or did you think it was all going to go a bit wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last few races I've span off anyway, so I wasn't really expecting too much given the rain, but somehow I managed to keep it on track and it just worked.
Fair enough. And so, shall we get your three-word rate roundup for your podium position?
Um, let's fucking go.
Oh, I rate that, I do rate that. Congratulations on your podium.
Thanks very much.
And yeah, see you next week.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, of course.
Well, I mean, I would play God Save the Queen, but I think it's a bit late for that.
Yeah, it's God Save the King now.
Yeah.
And I mean, it
I
wasn't
mean,
it wasn't quite an all British podium, but it was a 1-2 for the Brits. So a nice.
Hazard's,
well,
Hazard's
well, you say
British.
that.
Yeah, I'm actually Norwegian, you see.
Oh, so your flag is untrue.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
He
so
is
it,
also British.
it is. It's
Yeah.
an all British podium. I
He
think.
changed it as a
I
he
think
changed
that-
it as a joke once. He changed it as a joke once and just hasn't changed it back between games.
Well-
I think that serves for a nice
Yeah.
sing-song at the end of the end.
I'm not singing.
I think we need a nice
Jimmy
little
will sing.
sing-song.
Come on,
Jimmy,
Jimmy.
Jimmy wants to do a solo.
I mean, I think just put it on. I think it'd be a good thing. Get it on.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Congratulations on first wins. Congratulations on first podiums. And we'll all be seeing you very, very soon for the next race in Can't believe I forgot to look at
France.
this. Is it
You'll
France?
see
Yeah.
Oh,
You'll see Hazard next
France.
week. He's winning next week.
No, we're done. You're not seeing me next week.
No, Hazard's winning next week. He loves France.
Oh, right,
Alright,
okay. I expect high things now, Hazard. Good luck.
Oh, can't
Crash
wait.
now.
Let's see you all next week.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, what a finish to that race it has been. It has been absolutely bonkers, to say the least. We've had first wins, we've had first podiums, and most importantly, we've had fun times. I have been the Characteristics. Thank you all very, very much for watching.